What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Yamcast. This is episode 12? 13?
13, I
13.
think.
Hopefully that's the right number. If it's not, sorry about that. Today we're going to be looking at some interesting news over from Norton and Royal Enfield. About to be inundated with the Royal Enfield comments. Bless up. You guys just really love Royal Enfield. Then, as usual, we're going to be looking at some wretched bikes, some funny comments, taking a call-in section from our Discord boys, and then chatting a little bit about what's going on with us. So stick around. Let's have some fun, and let's do it. Alrighty, Spite. So first bit of news today. What do you got for us?
Our first bit of news, diving right in, and let me share this with you boys on Discord so you can follow along at home. So our first piece of news today is actually that the former owner of Norton, Stuart Garner, is ordered to return pension fraud money. So for those of you who remember, Norton was bought by TVS for about $20 million, right? And the former CEO is forced to return upwards of $17.5 million worth of pension.
Yikes.
Which is like most of what the company was bought for.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting amount here. So the grievance that was filed, the complaint reads, the manner of investing the scheme's funds do not accord with the scheme's purpose. Trustee has acted under a conflict of interest. Trustee has breached investment duties and has committed multiple breaches of trust. And trustee and LD have failed to provide an adequate administration process for any of the schemes, bringing into question the accuracy of benefit statements and other information issued to members.
So, from what I remember of the time I spent in the UK last year, it's funny, they'll use the word schemes for, like, because we use scheme and it has a negative connotation, right? It's like, oh, someone's got a scheme going on. But over there, if I remember correctly, scheme, it just means, like, you know, putting money somewhere or doing something. It's a very neutral kind of term.
Yeah, scheme is just like plan over there.
Yeah. But it does seem like Norton has gone through and like not really use this money for what it was supposed to be used for, which is pretty common with pension stuff, honestly. Like you'll see people pulling funds out of pensions and making them much more of like slushy kind of liquid funds than they should be, you know? But I'm sure as TVS bought up Norton, they probably did a really deep dive into their financials and were like, oh, like this is not looking correct.
Right.
You know?
And then further down here, let me see if I can find it. The Guardian reports that Garner considers himself a victim, too. He claims he didn't know he was working with fraudulent individuals when setting up the pension schemes. And this is very much a situation where ignorance is not an excuse. When you're dealing with people's retirements and stuff, ignorance is no excuse.
Yeah.
So it's
pretty much I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I feel like in any crime, it's like you can't just be like, well, I didn't know I couldn't do that. It's like, oh, well, get fucked.
I feel like it's only acceptable when you're going like 5 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like, no, you need to, you understood what you were doing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with $17.5 million worth of people's retirements.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's damn near the valuation of your company,
yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, someone needs to tell Stuart that in order to get away with financial crimes, he's got to play with way bigger numbers.
Yeah, I mean, this is enough that it's like everybody will notice it and be like, that's no. But if you do it with, you know, many, many, many millions and billions, then everybody's like, well, you already have too much money. We can't come after you.
we literally can't do anything to you because you're so rich. That sucks.
But it does suck. It does seem like they are going to get this money back just because in the UK and in other countries other than the United States, they're a little bit more protective of, you know, workforce and retirement and all that good stuff. They're more likely to actually ream this guy for it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not he was actually privy to this this fraud that was going on.
Yeah, I still think it's, such a low number that they bought Norton for. I remember we mentioned that when we first saw this news, but it's crazy that $20 million buys you all of Norton.
Well, they're like 50-ish people or something, and we saw those pictures of their warehouse.
Their factory, right? It was literally just like a back office. So
yeah, it kind of looked like
sense.
here.
Yeah. Yammie Noob HQ. Yeah, it did.
But it kind of sucks that, maybe he was seeing the writing on the wall and was like, all right, I got to just, I got to get mine.
Yeah.
And just bailing. But, I mean, if you're on the cusp of a $20 million acquisition, does it really matter? You're still going to get yours anyway.
Yeah, especially as CEOs, you probably get a nice bonus check and all that. I don't know if he has any ownership or stake in the company. Probably does. Probably has some sort of stock in it. But I'm sure he is very well compensated, as most CEOs are.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But individuals who were subsequently jailed for fraud, he will likely end up in jail at some point.
Yeah.
So perhaps he needs a slightly bigger golden parachute.
Yeah, maybe. So what else we got going on?
So our other piece of news today comes from Royal Enfield.
Oh, God.
Yep. Royal Enfield has officially taken the bullet out back and put a bullet in the bullet.
Nice. I see what you did there. Yeah.
It is no more. The Bullet 500 has been canned.
Mm-hmm.
The Bullet 500 is one of those motorcycles that it's like it's from the 60s, and it still rides like it's from the 60s, despite the fact that it has like fuel injection and modern components. It still is a bad ride. And I want to go down to the bottom of this article because there's a quote that is like the best damning with fine praise I've ever heard in my entire life. So in the "should you buy one while you can" section of this interview or article.
I just saw the top says, "Admit it, you want one." I'm like, no, I really don't.
No, I really don't.
I really have no interest.
This quote goes, "It's slow, basic, and vibrates. A good 125 is faster and better suspended. The RE exists purely for thrumming at 55 miles an hour and gently bobbing on back lanes," Bikes Armitage wrote. But then he concluded with write-up with, "As a getaway from its second bike, with boldly different sensations, every home should have one."
Man. So, as many people know, I have no love lost for Royal Enfield. I just don't really care about their bikes. I don't really find them interesting. I don't really love them. And their fans are so vocal. They love them so much. But I think it's interesting how Royal Enfield built the Bullet back in, the 60s when they started it, right? The 70s, whatever. Basically their plan was just like, okay, if we never update this bike, eventually it'll be like retro cool again, and it kind of worked. But it does seem like they're starting to think about, okay, if we're going to make a modern motorcycle, if we're going to make something, we got to make something fresher than this. You know, like that guy said, a 125 is faster. The Grom is probably faster.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
The fact that is legitimately, it's if a 125 is faster than a 500, you have done fucked up.
Yeah.
That's
rough.
That's really bad. And I mean, it looks cool. This bike looks cool.
Yeah, I think that one's all like, done up and different and all that. But they're retro cool, but I feel like, why wouldn't you just get a Bonneville? Like, a Bonneville basically looks like that, but it's like way better.
Mm-hmm.
Way better.
Because Bonnevilles are expensive and Royals aren't.
Even the 500? The little Bullet 500? Is it?
Yeah.
What's the Bullet MSRP for it?
Let's check it out. Let's do a Google. Base price $4,999.
Yeah. So Bonneville is definitely like $3 or $4 grand more expensive. So that makes sense. But again, for 5 Gs, you could get a lot of different type of motorcycles for that. A lot of better motorcycles for
like
that.
Like a Duke 390.
Yeah.
Basically. The Duke's 5,500, I think.
You could get a Sport Pillin. They're apparently priced at that level, which we found out the other day.
Crazy.
It is a little crazy.
But I mean, I understand why people like Royal Enfield.
Yeah.
I don't like them particularly, but in a world where they're basically just a mule that can go forever.
Yeah.
That's all they need to be, is just a big mule.
Yep.
But I would never own one.
I'd never own a Royal Enfield. Never. I'm going to put that out there right now in the world. I will never own a Royal Enfield. I'm sorry, guys. I just like none of their bikes. I don't have any interest in them. Any at all.
Royal Enfield giveaway when?
Yeah, watch the membership just tank.
Yo,
everyone just leaves. They're like, "Fuck this."
I really don't. We do the drawing, and the winner comes back. Hey, you want a Royal Enfield Interceptor 650? No thanks.
You can keep it. It's okay. We're about to get flooded with comments now.
But I get why some people like this bike. It's basically a big thumper, but it's fine to also send it off into that good night. I mean,
I think it had a great run. I think it did a lot for a lot of people. A lot of good memories,
But the fact that it's slower than a 125 sucks.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's real rough.
That's real rough. Well, we'll see how Royal Enfield does in these next couple of years and what they evolve to. But now let's move on to the next section of our podcast. Alrighty, everybody. Now we're getting into the call-in section of our podcast. Remember, if you want the chance to call in and hang out with us, join us up at yammynoob.co, join our Discord server, and you can hang out with all of us, and it's pretty fun. So now let's see if we get someone calling in, and we can chat with them.
Yep. In the meantime, I see a question. Never mind. We have a comment here, or a call in already.
Quite fast. Hey, Jared, what's going on? You're on the Yamcast. How's it going, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm Weasel on the Discord.
And, nice. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Really excited to be on the Yamcast, and I just have like a short list of questions that I have. First and foremost,
I love a list, so let's do it.
Yeah. First and foremost, track only bike. I'm very weary of roads, especially around where I live, but there's a handful of tracks that are within an hour and a half of where I live, and I was wondering what would be like a first track-only bike, something used, maybe something new, around $4,000, $5,000.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. What bike do you have right now, and what's your experience with bikes?
The bike I have right now is whatever my buddies will lend me.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a bike.
Gotcha.
I was just wondering what should I be looking at for a track-only use bike?
Yeah, so I think there's two routes you can go, and this is the routes I always recommend to people, and it's whatever you're most comfortable with. But right now, the Ninja 400 is probably one of your best bets for the small displacement category. It's an incredibly competitive machine. It's got loads of aftermarket support. It's dead reliable, and it actually works really, really well. I just raced one last weekend at Houston as part of an endurance race, and I really liked it. It had a couple key mods already done to it. Most important was a master cylinder that was changed on it, so the brakes felt amazing. But the Ninja 400 is a great platform. SV650 as well, one of like the best sort of like I'd say gold standard for starter track bikes. They've been raced for the last 20 years, so literally I think forums and people know everything there is to know about the SV650 as a track bike. So I think either one of those two, you really can't go wrong.
Okay, thanks. Next up is thoughts on the Aprilia RS660.
Ooh, I have many thoughts on that bike. It's such a cool bike, man. I saw it in person at EICMA last year, and to me, like, if they can do it right and it works, we're going to see a whole resurgence of like Twins Cup racing, which honestly is so cool. The only thing I don't like about it though is they were quoting it was going to weigh like 330 fully wet, ready to ride, but it's closer to like 390, I think. So the concept of it being super lightweight has not really materialized as much as I would like, but it still is a very interesting bike from the perspective of like, okay, can we make cool Twins Cup racing? Can we make, a different type of super sport for the modern world? Splay, what do you think about the RS660?
My hope is for the RS660, what it does is it galvanizes Yamaha into making a small twin a twin race bike out of the XSR 700 MTO 700 engine, because it's so good.
Yeah, I think they could do that so easily. That would be awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I hope that it definitely garners a response from some of the other more established race bike makers like KTM. I'm hoping that they take the motor out of the 690 and throw that into an RC model if the RS660 does well enough.
Yeah, I mean they're almost there, right? I mean they have the KTM Duke 890, which is almost like a little race replica 790, the little naked bike thing. But I think if I were them to compete with the 660, I would make like a 790 hopped up version, like a 790R or something like that. But KTM doesn't really do super sports anymore, which is a damn shame. Yeah.
And I saw in the Discord that Yammie, you picked up a CRF 250L recently. How is that treating you?
I did not pick up a CRF 250L. I picked up a KTM SXF 250, which is a competition motocross bike. Very different from the CRF 250L, but same ethos, right? Proper dirt bike kind of stuff. And I will be chatting about them at length during the What's Going On With Me section at the end of the podcast. So stick around, and I'll probably wax poetic about it for a good 10 minutes because I'm very, very into it. I love it so far.
Okay, and last, your thoughts on financing bikes. I've always been very weary of financing and taking out credit, and always been told to avoid it. So, what is your advice if I think that I need to finance a bike because I can't afford $3,000 out the door for a used one?
Yeah. So why don't? Because I gotta collect my thoughts a little bit on this. You want to try answering this one?
Yeah, sure. I don't have a don't finance bike stance. I actually have financed 3 motorcycles in my life, and I've bought 5. The biggest thing you want to do when you're going to finance is do all of your research. Go to local credit unions, go to your local bank, go to your dealership, and basically compare back and forth, and somebody will get you the best deal you can. So, for example, when I bought my Interceptor, I was paying about 9%, and then I refinanced it for 4.5%. So it was a big deal for me to go out and actually do a little bit more shopping before I bought the bike. Lesson learned. Now I'm going to do it. If I ever finance another motorcycle, I'm going to have, a little bit more information before I go in. But they are toys, so in theory, you probably should try and buy them outright, especially on a used bike. But, honestly, as long as you're financing from like a dealership, fine. If you're going to finance like a private sale, I would say don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my thoughts around it are, I think it's all dependent on your interest rate and your credit and all that kind of stuff and what you're trying to do, right? I think a lot of people don't think about the bigger picture with it, but let's say you've got 10 grand liquid and you're trying to go get a bike, but you've also got some other stuff you need to do as well. Well, then at that point, you need to ask yourself, it's like, okay, if I finance this bike, I leave this 10K liquid over here that I can do other stuff with too, and maybe you're trying to build up your credit. So really it depends on what like your financial goals are, really. I'm not like a financial advisor or anything, but that's always been my stance on it, where it's like, okay, I'm going to utilize and leverage a loan or credit so that I can do something else with my liquid cash that is of higher value. I've financed a couple bikes myself as well, but nowadays, because most of them are just toys for me, I do just buy them cash because it's just easier and simpler. But if you can get a good rate, there's really no reason not to finance. And right now, rates are pretty freaking low. I think if you can get anything under 5%, it's totally fine. Just finance it. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I was talking with my local dealer because I think my first bike that I'm going to pick up is the CRF 250L Rally, because I absolutely love the looks of that. And I was talking with my dealer, and he said that 0 APR for 6 months is what Honda's been offering. And I've been really on the fence because I've always been told not to finance at any cost. But I really appreciate the help of you guys.
Yeah, for sure, man. And if you do end up getting that CRF, definitely post it up on Discord, and I'll give you some thumbs up and ask you how it's going, because that is a cool bike.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really appreciate the help, guys.
All right, man.
No
Thanks so
problem.
much. See ya. A lot of good in-depth questions. Financing a bike, I really just think it's like if someone gives you a good rate, there's literally no reason not to do it.
Yeah, so I learned my lesson the hard way on Harley number 2. I got a really bad rate on that one, and I didn't go through refinancing because I was kind of a bonehead, and I just paid it down as quickly as possible. I got out ahead of it was paying on principal all the time. Like, basically, if you're going to get a really high interest loan like that, you need to get like $1,000 ahead as fast as humanly possible.
You can't pay it in the term because otherwise you're going to spend so much more on interest.
Yeah.
You should probably half the term of it so that you come out ahead.
Exactly. But, financing's fine.
Yeah.
I've gone back and forth on it a couple of times. And as long as you do your due diligence, you can finance anything.
Yeah.
So, but we did have a question, I believe. Jared Sin, is that what that is? Yammie, do you have an economics degree? You should know how to get away with fraud, right? Pension fraud.
That's all they taught me in my classes, actually, is just how to get away with fraud and commit large-scale financial crimes. So, yes. Alex over here on the server also asks, when I am getting ready to finance a used FC10 and don't have 10 Gs sitting around, interest rates are low right now. I don't know if that's a question, but yeah, I mean, again, like a used bike, it's tough. If it, like you said, if it's private, you can go to a credit union and take out a private loan and then use that money to do something with it, but it's way more cumbersome. Like a dealership will let you like same day go in there, do all the paperwork and just get it done, you know, but just you got to look for it because they'll always try to slip in some little extra coverage or plan or this and that. So you got to really read the fine print and make sure you're financing just the bike and all this other crap they want you to put on there.
There's two things that I would add if you're going to finance a bike, especially if you're getting it brand new. I would get wheel and tire coverage because I've used it before multiple times where I rolled out of a dealership, picked up a nail, rolled back into the dealership while the tire was inflating and was like, I'll give you another $50 and you're going to give me a brand new tire. And that was after I had brought in that bike because it had a nail in the wheel.
Right.
So wheel and tire is good to have, and then always gap protection.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
You have to have gap protection.
Yeah, and for the folks at home who might not know, gap protection is when, let's say you financed your motorcycle at $10,000, that was the cost of it, but then you total it and the insurance says, well, you know, you've had this bike for 6 months, you totaled it, we're only going to give you $9,000 for it. That's the total loss value. You're still on the hook for that $1,000 on the loan if you don't have gap insurance.
Yep.
But if you have gap insurance, they'll then cover that $1,000 up to the value of the loan. Because I've seen that a lot actually where people, you know, unfortunately go and crash a bike and then they're like, wait, I can't believe I still have to make payments on this thing because I didn't get it covered. But that's what happens with insurance. They're not going to give you the loan value. They'll give you the loss value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So guaranteed asset protection, very, very important.
Super important. Yeah. Let's see if we can get another call going here, boys. We're live here. If you want to give us a call, feel free to.
While we're waiting on another call, why don't we dive into some of our comments for this week?
Sure.
So on the Svart versus Duke video, this is one that we've been seeing a lot of.
I got to talk about this, yeah.
Yep. So Mir Shack says the MSRP is $4,999 plus $450 freight, exclamation point. Why didn't you mention the easy shift, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of questions lately about both the price on the Svart pull-in and this easy shift thing. And so I will agree the price, I think we've been saying it wrong. So I paid $62 out the door for it, but I think the MSRP, according to the website, is $4,999, right?
Yes.
So if you think about tax, title, license, freight, you get close to that $6,000 mark-ish. Could I have gotten a little bit better deal? Possibly, but also, like, the guy knew I wanted a Svart pull-in, and there's only 2 within a 500-mile radius, so he was like, guess what? You're going to pay.
Yep, exactly.
I had no negotiating power at all. I was like, oh, I have to buy this motorcycle. You're the only person selling it. Great. And I already drove out to Houston, so I was going to sit there and fight over $200. But so yeah, like the price is MSRP for 5Gs. And then there's also this easy shift thing. So this is all, we maybe should make a video about this in general because it's very interesting. So everyone's been telling us that the Svart pull-in has a quick shifter, up and down, quick shifter. And I was like, no, it doesn't. I went out to the bike. I looked at the linkage. I'm like, there is no sensor here. There's no way this bike is a quick shifter.
Yep.
I took it out around the block. I tried as hard as I could, damn near probably broke the gearbox, like kept the throttle open, just kept trying to push it up. It will not shift without the clutch. So it does not have a quick shifter. At least this model doesn't. But you had a theory on this, right? Where like you think that maybe it is offered as an add-on and then you can get it, right?
Yeah, so my theory is that there's probably a socket somewhere in the bike that goes to the ECU, because this is what was on my Interceptor, where there was just a plug, a 2-pin plug, sitting somewhere under the fairings that you could just plug a quick shifter into, and then suddenly it works.
Yeah.
But that to keep the price of the bike down, they just decided, well, we'll have the quick shifter as an optional add-on.
Yeah. Because the 390 Adventure comes with it. And since it's a shared platform, maybe you're right, it has the pin or something like that.
Does it come with it from factory, or does it come with it as an optional add-on again?
You know what? I don't know. You know what I mean? I maybe it's an add-on, because I
Yeah.
know that the 390 Adventure, you can get spoked wheels as an add-on, but it comes with cast from the factory. So I don't know. And you know KTM loves their power parts.
Yes, absolutely.
As I'm quickly learning as well.
And I think, this is a whole other topic that we don't need to get into today, mostly because I think we can make an entire video on it. But should a beginner get a quick shifter up and down?
Man, I don't think they should.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is a whole topic we could talk about.
So, and I saw Alex Cedarleaf is too scared to call in. Just call in, man. We're people. We're not going to bite.
I'm just a dude.
Yeah.
Literally
so
just a guy.
give us a call, man.
Yeah.
Our next one is actually kind of serendipitous, given the T-shirt that I'm wearing. Scott Armbruster. I'm looking at a Del Cavik for my 2013 Busa 4-into-1 system. Should I get them? I like them loud, though. What do you think about Del Cavik's loudness right now?
Well, if your DRZ is any indication, it's a pretty loud pipe. And the Busa, especially if you're doing that big old engine, 4-to-1, nothing, I'm assuming just straight pipe back, it's going to be plenty loud, probably too loud, honestly. Probably a little too loud.
Yeah, but I honestly, they're one of those things where, and this is something that I wanted to talk about because I actually just discovered this. I knew it intrinsically, but I officially discovered it the other night. Is as a cheap motorcycle pipe, they're actually really well built. But what they do is they custom make the headers for the bike, and then they have a series of universal slip-ons that go onto their header pipes. So if you don't like it, you can just buy another muffler, which is exactly what I did for my DRZ.
Yeah.
So I think they're a really good option.
Yeah.
This one, perfect for you, also on the R1 video.
Well, you know who that is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of our Discord boys.
One of our Discord boys, Casey Jones, who I believe is Tube Steak on the Discord.
Possibly,
One
yeah.
of them, yeah. One of the regulars. He says, why does it sound so slow? Yeah, man, it's a slow-ass bike. Yeah, it's a real shame. That's why we put the exhaust. We got to get the tune because we got to squeeze more power out of it. It's too slow.
Yeah, 200 horsepower is it's just not enough for the street.
Despite how dare you? That's sacrilegious. 200 horsepower. It's 199. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's not a 200 horsepower motorcycle.
I'm sorry. It probably is now, but
yeah.
It sounds really good. Originally, I was like, yeah, it sounds fine, and then the more I'm spent around it, the more I'm like, God damn it.
It's so good, dude.
It's so good.
When you take it for a ride and you'll hear it blipping and doing, it's unbelievable, the sound.
I still can't believe that we're giving that to somebody.
Yeah. I posted that on Instagram, actually. I was like, it's a little hard for me to believe that I'm just going to ship out the keys and title to this bike to just some random person because this thing is fucking fast.
Like, they're just going to have an R1 show up on their door.
Yeah. I pray to God they make the right choice if they're not ready for that kind of bike.
Because that is a beast.
Yeah. Serious motorcycle. Someone posted on the Discord the other day that someone that they knew bought an R1 as their first bike because they saw a bunch of YouTube videos and thought they were a pro and they were like, I can do this. And then literally crashed it the next day.
That sounds about right, yeah.
I was like, yep, sounds about right.
Yeah, because I think every time we start the bike, it starts up automatically in A mode, I think. It always defaults to full bananas.
I don't know if that's true. I think it defaults to the last mode you had it in. And I probably leave it in A mode. For me, it's always B or A mode. I never put it in C or D, honestly.
I think B mode is where it's at.
I think it's the perfect one. I was actually, on the ride I did for the exhaust video, I put it in A mode, then I put it back in B mode. I was like, this is way better. A mode is so twitchy. It's so just like, want to go. I think even for track, I wouldn't want it that way. I want a smooth roll on,
Yeah, it's also really nice that even if you want to leave the power in B mode, you can mess with all of the electronics and stuff on there to tame it a little bit or
Yeah.
make it. I like the fact that you can turn off auto blip down.
Yes.
Because I like quick shifting up, but I also like to do a little bit of rev matching while I'm riding. It makes
Yeah.
it a little bit less like I'm riding a giant scooter.
Yeah, for street stuff, it's really good, but I am dying to test that out on track because I think if I can focus 100% on my braking, just bang down the gears, like, oh, dude, I'm dying to take that thing on a rip. It'll be very good. Hopefully mid-July I can get it up to ECR and have some fun with it. What's our next comment?
We've got a question here from Alex, who was too scared to call in. What's it say there?
It says, is it common for a dealer to sit on a used bike in service department? I am waiting for them to service FC10 before I can buy it. They wanted deposit but would not give me the final price. That's a bit weird.
That is a little weird. It's just sitting in the service department.
Yeah, that's not good.
That sounds like...
Also really weird they don't give you the price for it. That shouldn't be dependent on whatever service they're doing to the bike.
Yeah.
You know?
It should just be ready to go.
Yeah.
So
also, yeah, I would definitely take a close look at that because that is a little weird. I've never seen that before.
Man, nobody wants to chat with us.
I think it's because we're doing this one early today.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue.
We had some scheduling conflicts that forced us to do this in the morning. But we do have another comment here for you, and this was on my Sportster video. Mountain Wolf says, whoever's doing the editing for this video needs to lay off with the disparaging comments. Just because it's not a crotch rock, it doesn't mean it's inferior. Just because it's not your preferred bike doesn't mean it's a bad bike. Have some respect for your fellow bikers. Mountain Wolf, this might surprise you. I edited that video. I put those in because I was just having a good time poking fun at the stuff that I was saying. Because I was talking about, one of the things that sticks out in my head is when I was talking about the horsepower and I put a gif of some lady like laughing into her glass of water.
Yeah.
It's the more you talk about it, the more you realize that it really is kind of a silly motorcycle that they're selling for $12,000. It really doesn't perform all that well. And you're right, it doesn't mean it's a bad bike, but on paper, it is a bad bike.
Yeah, you just look at the numbers and you're like, this is not looking good, you know.
But that was kind of the point that I was trying to make in the video. I was trying to show that despite the fact that it is a really bad motorcycle on paper, when you ride it, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's so soulful and so, just unique and characterful. It's a really great motorcycle to ride, but you have to ride it to understand it.
Yeah. I'm going to put an opinion out there, and I want to see if you agree with me. I have never had a bad time on anything with two wheels and an engine.
I don't think I have either.
Like, I've ridden some bikes that maybe aren't great, but I've never ridden one where I'm like, oh, I'm not having fun. Like, I think anything with an engine and two wheels, I'm probably going to have some fun with it. You know?
There's fun to be had on any motorcycle.
Yeah, like the Grom, the Busa, the new KTM I got, the Daytona. Like, I'm thinking all the bikes that I've been riding this year, and it's like, they're all fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like, I'm sure the Harley was like that too, where it's like, it's still a bike. It's still fun.
Yeah. And it's so good at what it does.
Yeah.
The things that it does really well, it's like class leading. If you're just on the highway, it tracks so straight, it's so effortless, so easy to ride. And when you're in like a sweeping corner, I'm not sure if you watched all the way through the video, but there was a corner on I believe it's Toro Canyon where it's going down and up that hill.
Yeah.
I went through that whole thing without touching the handlebars. I was just steering with my hips.
Yeah.
It's so balanced and so well put together, and they did a good job building it. It does still cost too much.
Yeah.
It's still a rough number.
Yeah, so Mountain Wolf, fear not, Spite is on your side, and he actually likes Harleys, and he was just having a bit of fun.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So what's our next comment on here?
Question from the stream. Can I get your opinion on the 2018 Ducati Scrambler Cafe Racer?
Ooh, yeah. So that's an interesting bike. I believe they only make it in the 1100, or do they make it in the 800? You helped me with this.
Cafe Racer is the 800.
Okay.
The 1100 is its own platform.
Okay, cool. So I'm conflicted because I obviously love the Scrambler lineup. I think they're great bikes. Most of the ones I've ridden, I've really liked. Obviously, I love the Desert Sled the most because it's my favorite one. But I think the Cafe Racers, the ergonomics are a little bit more committed than I would like. I wouldn't want to own one personally because it's a little more leaned over, but it's still a very punchy and very flavorful kind of experience. But I think the Icon's the better get. What do you think?
If I was going to get a Scrambler, I'd get the full throttle.
Really?
Yes, I would get the full throttle just because I adore the black and white color scheme.
Yeah.
And I like the number plate on the side. I love that it's like a dirt tracker kind of setup. They put those, I think it's the same tire that's on the FTR 1200, that kind of like super light, weird, knobbly dirt tire.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
That's one of the most rounded or flat tires I've ever seen. It's there's no V to it. I remember when I rode the FTR, I was like, I cannot get this thing on its side. It feels so weird. You know?
And it's such the full throttle is so pretty looking. And honestly, I don't like the paint scheme on the Cafe Racer. I think the Cafe Racer's kind of like baby blue and silver is a little not my thing.
Yeah.
But they're all with that same 803cc engine. When I rode yours, it was so much fun.
Yeah, it's a nice engine. It's really nice. Old air-cooled 2-valve Ducati. So speaking of scramblers, we got a comment over here. Kyle Balanoff says, can factory scramblers actually scramble? I know anything can bump around off-road. That's right. Anything's an adventure bike if you try hard enough.
Yep.
But do factory scramblers actually do it better than other similarly sized non-scramblers? So that's a tricky one because I think the bone stock base scramblers, they are an exercise in design, really. Like your Triumph Scrambler or your Ducati Scrambler Icon, they look cool, but I would not take them on anything more serious than a gravel road.
Right.
But I think that, models like the Triumph Scrambler XE or the XC, those bigger ones with the longer travel suspension, or the Desert Sled, you can actually do more off-roady stuff. But honestly, I don't think factory scramblers really do any better than non-scramblers. What do you think?
Well, so the main thing that I have with a lot of especially the Ducati Scrambler line, is it's a scrambler, air quotes, that has a pipe that goes underneath the motorcycle and no skid plate.
Yeah, it's rough. Those are two essential things.
Yeah, and they have the exposed front head. Even on yours, the head is like just dangling right underneath the motorcycle, which is a little strange.
You'd have to really yeet yourself into the great beyond to hit that thing on a rock, though. Like, goddamn, because that's way up there.
At least on the sled.
Yeah.
Perhaps not on the other ones.
That's true.
But I think that if you want to go for a scrambler, my intuition says you need to build your own. Because that's the
authentic way.
Yeah, that's what scrambling is, right? It's the idea of you going and paring your motorcycle back, turning a street bike into an off-road bike. It's why we love those videos of like the dirt Panigales and stuff.
Yeah.
Because people have taken a motorcycle that is not designed to do that, and then they made it do it. And that's the problem I have with modern factory scramblers is they just don't really care, right? They're like, okay, we're going to give you some mild dirt knots. We're going to give you a knobby-ish tire. And then you're never going to take it off-road.
Yeah.
And then if you do, you're going to realize why you would never take it off-road.
Yeah.
Which is why I think the sled is so interesting because it's as close to a scrambler from the factory as you can buy.
Yeah. It's much more authentic in the spirit of like they took a street-biased bike and like threw on some big forks, threw on the skid plate, like tried to make it authentic, And it's just fun as hell to ride.
Yeah.
Super fun bike.
It's a really great little bike.
Yeah. So I think those dudes going to do it for our comments today and for our comments over here on the stream. So now let's check out some wretched bikes.
Let's do it.
So now we're going to look at some wretched Craigslist bikes, correct?
Yes, we are.
Let's do it.
So our first bike this week is, and I'm going to make sure this is still recording. It is. Our first bike this week is a Honda Goldwing motorcycle car project for $200.
Jeez.
I mean,
oh man,
Why are you doing this?
That looks like some Mad Max stuff.
I know.
Yeah, that does not even look... Oh, thank you for including that. As if... So that's an interesting question with this monstrosity.
If this picture will load.
It's like a two welded motorcycles, basically, right?
Yeah, so they've taken the frame of these two bikes and basically just connected them with steel rods and put a little, like, weird floor in.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. This looks like some like backyard, trust me, I'm an engineer kind of crap.
Yeah.
But you may not have room to put these frame bars inside where the engine sits.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that thing is just that. The wheels might be worth something. The
Maybe.
suspension might be worth something. Everything else is just trash.
So that frame, that's a Goldwing frame?
There are two Goldwing frames.
You can tell, I mean, the bottom of it is so beefy, you know, like you can see where the engine's supposed to sit.
And look at this frame right here. It's like completely cut out.
Yeah. That's just scrap, man. That's not even anything.
Let's see what this guy has to say for himself, though. 1981 Honda Goldwing motorcycle car project. Not finished. You don't say. Two motorcycles put together to make a car. Needs a lot of work to get it going, but it can be made.
To get it going, as if it has anything to make it go.
You just put it down a hill.
Yeah.
No motor. Was going to use a small diesel engine. I have a bunch of steel tubing I was going to use to finish the tubing frame. Then go with it. Just don't have time to work on it anymore. One bike has a title. $200 cash.
Oh my God, just throw it in a dumpster.
No one's going to buy that.
No one's going to buy it. That's crazy that he's even trying to sell it, you know, as if it's worth anything. But hey, hats off to you. Got to try to make that coin, right? Try to hustle and try to sell it, but
yeah,
that's rough.
I don't even think that two of the same bikes looking at these front fenders.
No, probably not.
Great start.
Yeah. Absolutely wretched. Let's see if we got something nicer going here.
This is a little bit of a palate cleanser. Let me share it with our Discord boys. Yamaha Roadstar Bobber 1600 that this guy has kind of halfway rat-rotted out.
I did not know Yamaha made this bike.
I think it's an old bike that they used to make that they don't make anymore.
Yeah. Well, apparently, from what I understand, Yamaha is 100% out of the cruiser game at this point.
I think they are.
They're like 100% out.
Do they not make the bolts anymore?
I think they're discontinuing them.
Damn.
Someone told me that. I don't remember who told me that.
I gotta believe they're gonna keep the bolts because they're the cheap alternative to the Sportster.
You know, I think I think when I was picking up the Svartpill in Houston, I was at a Yamaha dealership, and the guy was telling me about that, how they're discontinuing them and they're getting out of the cruiser game.
Damn.
Yeah.
So this is now a collector's item. Gotta add another $1,000 to this thing.
There you go.
But you can. This guy like completely. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This is a half-assed project right here.
Yeah.
I mean. Okay, you took the front fender off. Great. That's $5 worth of, it's $5 worth of labor to get that off of there. Yeah. And then put the weird non-painted brushed steel tank on there.
Man, those neon acid green grips though,
that are see-through.
Oh my God.
They're see-through. Look,
that looks so cheap.
Yeah. And like on the rest of the chrome with the giant ape hangers.
That does not work for me at all.
This tank gap right here, it looks okay on some bikes, but even on like the Harley Sportster 48, I hate this tank gap right there.
Yeah.
You have your exposed pulley cover down here, and just
so what style of cruiser is this? Would you say
this is basically I think they're called either a rat rod or a rat bike, but
because it's got the big ape hangers, right? Mm-hmm. More of a low, no, it's not. It's obviously not a dress or anything like that. It's not all dressed up.
This is trying to be like a scrambly bobbery thing.
Yeah, and it's sort of bobbery, but the big grab bar, I guess, if you could even call it that, at the rear end. What is that?
That's the sissy bar. They put those on there just as a style piece at this point.
Yeah.
If you don't have a pad on it, that means it's a style piece.
Yeah.
And all of the cruiser boys who make choppers or rat bikes put a sissy bar on there. And honestly, I hate the look of them.
Yeah.
They just look silly. It's a little too easy rider for my liking.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how the fact, he's like, okay, I'm going to brush the tank, but I'm not going to brush the fender because I like my flames.
I love my flames, dude.
Yeah, got to have the flames on there.
Yeah.
Because it makes it faster, don't you know? He wants $4,000 for this bike.
Yeah, a little spicy for that.
The engine is about the only thing here you could fix a lot of this, but at a lot of cost, This is just one that's, if you want to, I said in one of the videos earlier this week, where if you're going to get a project bike, it's worth it to get a project bike that's as close to your end goal as possible. Right?
I like that. Yeah, that's
so
true.
That you don't get like if you want to make a rat bike like this, a ratty cruiser that kind of looks like stripped down, pared back, Mad Max style, buy this and finish it. Because these cruisers are really easy to work on. Don't go get a new cruiser and start it from the beginning, because that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and that's like one very quick and easy way to nuke your trade-in value or just value of the motorcycle in general.
So argue with this guy, prove to him the fact that these mods aren't adding any value, and then get this bike for like $3,000 probably, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Everything else, it just that no one should be buying this unless they want to make a bike like this. Which that market is like the very bottom of a funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'd give this one like a 2 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah, it's
not great.
Gonna work. The engine's fine because it's a Yamaha, but it's not worth owning.
Yeah.
At least
now our next link is from Facebook Marketplace, right?
So
always some great stuff there.
This where it just falls off a cliff.
Yeah, the Craigslist of Craigslist, one could say.
Yes.
Yeah. So we got here motorcycle-like thing for $350. You know what? It's pretty accurate. That is what that is. It is a motorcycle-like thing. What am I looking at, really? Like, what exactly is that?
That looks like a lawnmower engine on a weird, like, pit bike frame with tires that are about that wide.
The rake is so long for being a pit bike, though. It's, like, really raked out.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe it's like a baby chopper. You know, some people sell those mini choppers. Maybe that's what that is.
And I mean, it would be really easy, but I don't even see where the gas tank is. Maybe that's what this
thing,
little black object is there.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of like in a horror movie where there's like a little mutant baby or something that's like from the devil or whatever. It's like, kill me. Like that's what this looks like to me.
Yeah. Why do you want $300 for it? I mean,
you're gonna have to pay me to come get that thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this thing is not gonna go. It's not gonna stop.
Yeah.
And it's just, it looks, for what it is, it's better than other motorcycle-like things that we've seen.
Yes, it's true.
But it's still not worth owning.
Yeah, he says it's in good condition though.
Yeah.
You know what? Can't argue with that. Good condition.
With that nice flat seat, not a whole lot. It's not going to collect a whole bunch of gooch juice in there.
That is true. There's no spot for it to collect. Seeps right off.
So I think this is a solid 8 out of 10.
A solid 9 out of 10, I would say. Yeah, no problem.
For the good condition motorcycle-like thing.
Yes.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, so this one is a 2000 Honda CBR thing. It is a fully custom-built drag bike, rolling chassis, no powertrain. Clean title showing 675 miles.
Oh my God.
It has no powertrain. To me means there is no engine in it.
Yep. So it's like a frame and wheel and swing arm apparently of a drag bike, but with no engine in it.
Yep, there you go. No engine sitting in the frame.
Oh my God, that would be so much work to try to do anything with this thing.
And the dude wants $2,000 for it.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, maybe there's some trick componentry in there that I'm not understanding that is worth $2,000, but I really don't think that is worth that much.
I mean, maybe the swing arm and the tire, maybe, just maybe, but everything. I've seen the custom bikes that I've seen while in my short time here. lead me to believe that this is not $2,000 worth of bike.
No. I'd say that's like $1,000 worth of parts for a drag bike.
But you slap an engine in there, and then suddenly you can sell it for $13,000.
Absolutely. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
So basically, from what I understand about Hayabusa ownership, is the longer the swing arm, the higher you can charge.
Yes.
It's directly correlated. As the longer the swing arm gets, the higher the price goes.
And how do we work in like width of rear tire?
That adds a multiplier effect. Yeah. So the function is, as the swing arm gets longer, the price goes up, and the wider the rear tire is, you multiply it by the length of the swing arm. That's your price for the Busa.
There we go.
That's why our Busa is only worth like $3,000 at this point. We haven't done anything to it.
We gotta start lengthening and fattening up that rear tire.
Yeah. We should really do that one day just for the memes.
Yes, just throw a big, super long stretch swing arm on there.
Just to see how it handles. Spoiler alert, probably terribly.
I mean, I do like that this guy actually has a drag tire on it. It looks like it has seen some miles.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no wonder that it doesn't have an engine in it if it's been 675 miles at a drag strip.
Yeah. That's a lot of passes at the strip.
That is...
Well, if you think about it, if he was doing quarter-mile pulls, that's 675 times 4.
Yep.
That's how many pulls he did at the drag strip. Yeah, no wonder it blew up. That's thousands of pulls. Thousands
of pulls at red line all the time. The engine is definitely going to explode.
I thought my race bike was bad. At least it doesn't sit at literally, 14,000 RPM all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I pulled this up, seriously, I thought it had an engine in it. I didn't realize it did not have an engine.
I thought it did too, yeah. But it doesn't.
$2,000.
Lightweight, you know?
Get it going down a hill?
Yep.
Perfectly fine.
All right. Do you have a palate cleanser for us? Because we've seen some pretty ratty bikes.
I believe this one is a decent palate cleanser. It's one that was posted into Discord a little earlier.
I want to say, go back to that RC. Where is that located?
This RC is located in DeLand, Florida.
Oh, never mind. There was an RC that I tested a while back in like 2016 that looked just like this. I thought it might have been the same one, but that would have been way too small of a world. This is a 2017 KTM Rc390. As many of you guys know, I'm familiar with this platform because I own one as a little track mule. And this one's pretty clean, I gotta say, for 4Gs. Not bad. I think the mileage is a bit high. I think we saw it earlier is 13,000 miles, right? Something like that.
13.5 grand. Yep.
That's pretty high for the price, I will say. Mostly because these RCs, they really can't sell them. So you can buy them brand spanking new, like a 2018 off the dealership floor for like $4,300. Honestly, I've seen, those kind of bikes going for that.
Is it just because of the bad press they got from the early bikes that they can't sell them? Or
I think so, but I also think it's because people who are starting out, it's a little extreme of a little beginner bike, right? It's very committed. It's very sporty. Mm-hmm. I think someone might sit on the Duke, and it's just a way nicer place to sit.
Yeah.
So the RC, it's a very niche bike. It's really for, small bike fetishists and track day junkies.
Yep.
But it's a cool little bike.
I do like the black and orange color scheme on this one quite a bit.
Yeah, this one is custom. I don't think they sold them like that. So I think this guy went through and painted him or switched it up or did something to it. So it's got a couple mods done to it already. It's got the exhaust, it's got the levers, it's got a ram mount on it. So it's got some stuff going on.
Looks like, is that a taillight dangling down off the motorcycle?
It might be,
That's definitely a taillight dangling off the bike.
They might just be,
That's character right there.
A little bit of character. But yeah, I think for the price at 4Gs, you could definitely pick up something a little bit newer than this for the mileage on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But neat little bike.
Yeah, and you could probably, I could see this bike going for like $3,000, maybe a little less, $2,800.
Yeah.
If you had cash in hand.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that the turn signals are falling off.
Yeah, I think the thing is this one's listed at a dealership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they probably picked it up off the guy for like $2,500.
That was their fault.
Yeah.
They have way too much written there.
We are not reading that.
Nope.
Yeah. So yeah, cool little bike, and I think that's gonna wrap up our wretched Craigslist bikes for the week. And now we move on to the portion of what's going on with Yam and Spite. It's the last part of the podcast. No one sticks around because no one cares about us. We are merely vessels for the shit posting and the memes.
Yes,
so
we
Spite,
are.
what's going on with you, man?
Well, I finally have the DRZ running, sort of. After 2.5 months of it being just up here at the shop.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Wow. I think it was, yeah, because you ordered the Electron over 6 weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, I ordered it on April 20th, 420. Hey! I ordered it April 20th.
That's 2 months. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was dead before then. I think it died it died a week or two earlier.
Yeah.
Because I just had it up here and was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I finally have it running. The throttle sticks open, so that's fun.
Yeah.
The guys on Discord are thinking that it's just to do with the throttle cable being new and pinched somewhere and not lubed. So
yeah,
I'm gonna pull the gas tank off, rerun the throttle cable up through the bike, make sure it's not getting pinched anywhere. I really hope it's not a problem with the carburetor, because it only has one pull cable, and then the metering rods slide in the carburetors under spring tension when you open it. So theoretically, it should spring back closed. But theoretically, if there's vacuum pressure pushing on that thing, it could have a high enough coefficient of friction that it doesn't want to slide down.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's got to do with the throttle cable and not for the slide, because if it's that, who knows what's going on. But it is only randomly leaving the throttle open. And if I blip it, it goes right back down. So I'm thinking there's just a friction problem somewhere.
I just like the idea that the DRZ, it chooses when you're going to go full send, not you. You know?
Yeah, the DRZ has a fucking life of its own, and it needs to figure out that I'm in charge.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I did buy a couple of stickers for the side of it that say, "You're not my supervisor." So, because every time I ride it, it's screaming in my ear that I am not its supervisor.
Yeah. It reminds me of that one picture, I think it's from a GP race, where the bike is leaving the guy and the rider's looking like this, and the bike has a caption. It's you don't have enough badges to ride me.
Yup. the fucking DRZ, man. It's so close to being reliable. Today, when I got it, when I got it up today,
here, yeah.
I pulled the choke in all the way and turned it on, and almost started. Close the choke all the way, turn it on, little bit of throttle, turned right on.
Yeah.
And that's, from what I've seen, pretty emblematic of Electrons and DRZs. They don't start on full choke, but it'll prime the engine, and then when you turn the choke off, it'll go.
Yeah.
So it turns on, and that is a very good step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Before it did not want to turn on.
So is your little masochistic stint with carburetors almost over at this point?
I fucking hope so. I really fucking hope so, because it's brutal.
Yeah.
I do think the bike is running just a teensy bit lean, but I'm putting on a new exhaust can that's my current one is 8 inches, and I'm going up to 14 inches so that it's a little quieter, because right now it's a little bit loud,
a little brappy. Yeah.
And I'm hoping that'll fix the mixture just a little bit.
Yeah.
Cause it to run just a slight bit richer.
Yeah.
But I'm really thinking I'm getting close to the end here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully at our Big Ben trip, it works well and it's not going to cause you any headaches and just do its job.
It will make it through the trip. I have already figured out that it will make the trip.
Yeah, yeah. Because just been the time you've been riding around here, I doubt something's going to happen on Big Ben to where it won't run.
If there was a problem, it would have already exploded.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was just a carburetor issue. It wasn't actually something with the engine, as far as we know. So hopefully
when I pulled the oil out, it was completely clean.
Yeah,
so
you should be good,
no
I think.
flake in there or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that I fixed the throttle cable and it doesn't stick open anymore. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that is the shit dirt bike in the shop right now. What's going on with you?
So as many people know on Instagram, and probably only now will know a little bit on YouTube because I'm not planning on posting about it on YouTube, I picked up a KTM SXF 250, a proper motocross competition spec off-road machine, vastly more capable than what I can do with it, and it's been fucking rad, and I would like to say a borderline religious experience. Mostly because I cut my teeth doing off-road stuff on the fucking sled. You know, this big behemoth of a 440-pound adventure-style motorcycle. So jumping on the KTM, I mean, you saw it here in the shop. It feels like a bicycle.
Yeah, no, it's really light and really narrow.
It is unbelievable how small and narrow and light it is. And so all the stuff that I try to do with the sled and very cumbersomely try to learn with it came like second nature on the KTM. I mean, I jumped on that thing within 15 minutes. I was doing jumps with it and sliding it around and just climbing stuff that I had no business climbing, you know. Those knobs that it has on it are so aggressive that I was climbing this one really gnarly step up yesterday, which was hilarious because I got to the top of the trailhead and it was like difficulty moderate, and I was like, that was not moderate. I was like vertical, you know. But you know, trying to make it up this steep climb and stuff, and the bike stalled on me because I suck or whatever. And, you know, starting it back up, get your feet down, and like you try to just muscle it up, and the thing just grips. It just hooks up no matter what terrain you're on. It just moves, you know? Whereas like if you were on a very steep incline on the sled because of the weight and the type of tires, it just starts spinning. You know, it just spins. It doesn't hook up and go because the KTM is light and it's got those knobbies. Any terrain, it just moves. It's crazy, man. It just makes it up anything you want it to.
Right.
And it's interesting because I was talking to you about this, where competition machines and track day machines and machines that are more race oriented, they all have this tendency of like, it's all about like where you want it to go, and it's all in your mind, and it's all about confidence. Like with my race bike, where I look, it just telepathically goes right where I'm thinking, you know? The KTM's no different. Like on the trail, right where I'm looking, it'll just go right there, and it just does what it needs to do without any drama or fuss. It's just been a blast. Also, wheelies like nobody's business in any gear, really. Like it clutches up in third if you want it to, because it's a motocross bike. The gears are so close together. There's only 5 speeds, so it's just like brap 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 brap. Like I have no idea what the top speed on it is. Probably like 40 miles per hour. The sprocket's like a plate. You saw the sprocket on it. It's huge,
fucking gigantic.
Yeah, and the chain like sits all sloppy and then you know, chill on it. But it's incredible. It's incredible. It's one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that once I get the DRZ in proper running order, reliable running order anyway, that we can go off-road and just throw a really shitty dirt bike up against a really good one.
Yeah.
And kind of show the difference at some point, even if it's just for our own edification.
Yeah. I think I have a free guest day pass at Hidden Falls if you want to come with me one day. It'll be fun.
I definitely do.
Well, some of those trails, you will not make it up on a 17-inch wheel, I don't think. Like the step-ups that I was doing yesterday, dude, I didn't know if I was going to make it up because like I'm just not skilled enough, but yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
I'm definitely willing to just go fucking full send on this DRZ at this point.
To see what happens, yeah. I mean, if it drops, it's a DRZ. It'll live, you know. But the KTM's incredible. I wish I'd bought a real dirt bike years ago. It's teaching me so much already, and it's so interesting to ride it. And it's so much fun. It's fun to introduce a new, like, extreme axis of movement. Whereas, like, I feel like on a regular motorcycle, you know, you don't really do super steep incline or descends on it. You know, you really keep it pretty mellow. Whereas like on a dirt bike, you actually do like pitch forward a lot or pitch back a lot. It's much more loose and fluid, and it's very physical. Like I was trained after riding yesterday, you know, like you're just muscling this thing around and it falls over and you pick it up. Like I was spent after riding. It just feels good to do that, you know,
right.
Just really just get it all out. It's been tons of fun.
Yeah. I really, part of the reason why I got the DRZ was just to goof around on it off-road and just go do stuff that I don't normally do.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed, we'll be out there with these two bikes. one of these
Remember,
days.
the road we're doing on Big Bend, some older gentleman on a scooter made it through that road.
It's some Wilford Brimley looking dude.
Yeah, made it through on a fucking Suzuki Bergman. So if we don't make it through on two like much more capable machines, we have no business riding motorcycles.
We have no business.
Yeah. But all right, guys, I think it's going to wrap it up for the Yamcast today. Thank you so much for tuning in if you made it all the way to the end. Remember, if you want to join up and hang out with us and do all that kind of cool stuff and win some free motorcycles, hit the link down below. Go to yammynoob.co, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.